The moment now. I've been married for 3 years and been with my wife for a total of 9 years and love her with everything I have. I'm 37 and she is 33. I've always remained faithful and she always has as well as far as I know. She grew up in a divorced home and despises her mother for cheating on her father and proceeding to take half of his assets. She frequently makes comments regarding how she couldn't ever see someone doing that to their spouse and does not talk to her mother to this day. Anyway, she's been at her job for a handful of years and does office work. They have a crew of guys that does installs for their products, and one of the guys in particular has always been extremely outgoing, flirtatious, and just plain drunk half the time. Today I don't know what came over me, but my wife stepped outside for a few and I peeked in her phone and found texts from this guy that were completely out of line. She didn't seem to engage his passes, but she also didn't tell him to stop. Conversation went as follows. There were texts above this I didn't read. This is where I started. Her, as much as I like working from home, I do miss you clowns, referring to the whole crew. Him, you know I miss seeing that ass every day. Her, oh I'm sure you are. Following day. Her, so that company that makes a really good Japanese ginger sauce I showed you also makes a really good sauce. Him, you going to let me taste? Him, it's probably good. Her, haha, it's so good. Him, what you mean, you alone? Her, I'm at home. I had to run to the office and now I'm back. I had to start making calls in about 10 minutes. Him, damn, I'm running to the shop now. Go back. I want to see that ass. Her, oh, my lord no. Her, Mike and Aaron might still be there FYI. Him, screw them. I want to see you. Him, been thinking about running my hand across that fat ass since I talked to you yesterday. Her, I am not driving back up there. You are ridiculous. My heart literally dropped through my chest when reading this and I put the phone down and went to lay down. My wife was planning to treat me to a nice outfit tonight, and when she came back inside my mood completely changed and I became unresponsive while I collected myself. She began to cry because she did something, and I tried to convince her I was just exhausted from being outside all day. I never ever turn her down, so she probably thinks something is up with me. I really need help. I'm completely stuck. I can't tell her I went through her phone. I don't know how else I can confront her or if I should at all. Now I don't trust this guy at all, and worried he's going to continue to try weaseling his way between me and my wife. Some additional background information. I have met this guy a few times over the years at the company Christmas party. Every single year he's the loud, drunk, obnoxious guy and has no filter on his words regardless of who he speaks to. My wife told me well over a year ago that his wife, or fiancé, not sure, does not like her, my wife, because he texts my wife. At the time I didn't think much of it. I couldn't blame her for not trusting her man who acts the way he does. I almost blew up on my wife last night about it when she asked what was wrong with me, but as hard as it was, I kept my mouth shut because I simply want to act as calculated as possible and not out of emotion. I took screenshots of the portion of the conversation I shared and have them saved on my email. If I were to report this guy to the employer, I'm not sure if there would be any undue consequences on my wife's job, which I do not want to jeopardize. I can't honestly answer what drove me to look in the first place other than the opportunity was there, and I do know she frequently texts the crew at her work for various reasons. She has always kept her phone relatively close since I've known her way before she worked here, but I do the same thing and I have nothing like this to hide, so I didn't think much of it. I don't know if there's a way I can convince her to hand the phone over so I can find these texts in front of her, assuming they're not deleted, rather than telling her I looked through her phone. Either way, it seems there's going to be trust issues going forward, which really sucks. I knew the password to her phone because I've seen her enter it sitting next to me in the past. She now uses Face ID, but you can still enter the passcode if the Face ID failed, and it still works. She doesn't know that I know the code, and once I mention that I went through her phone I lose that card going forward. She will obviously change the code and start deleting messages, so I'm just trying to think of all possible options that doesn't end up making her more secretive around me. I know for a fact that this guy would likely do this to any attractive woman he found himself working with. She is definitely not one to seek attention. In fact, she absolutely hates attention, hates going to get-togethers and out with strangers, and avoids being center of attention at all costs. She is very introverted in general. My guess is this guy has probably been saying stuff like this to her for so long she doesn't know how to respond to it, and he keeps pushing the envelope. I have no doubt, if the opportunity presented itself, this slime ball would make a move on my wife. I think, and hope, she would reject any such advance, but this certainly makes me think twice. I really don't want to do anything to jeopardize our marriage, as I've never felt happier in my life. My previous marriage ended because of a coworker of my former wife's as well, who I did confront about it. If it happens again, I will be mentally scarred for life and absolutely devastated with permanent trust issues with women. It's not that I am afraid to confront her. I have no problem doing that. It's simply that I'm trying not to make the same mistakes that I did in my previous marriage, because confrontation made my former wife distance herself even farther from me. I'm going to do something, and soon. I'm simply just taking a day to think and make sure I do this without permanently damaging the marriage. That's it. Her behavior towards me has not changed in the slightest. I would honestly have had no clue any of this was going on otherwise. I may try to get my hands on her phone one more time today to see if there's anything deeper in the text history and whether there is or isn't. I prefer to confront her with her own phone rather than pictures of her texts. I'm anticipating she will relentlessly apologize and cry and say she's really sorry and nothing is going on. At which point we will need to permanently address why she handled it the way she did and how we're handling it from this point forward. Everyone advocating for the aggressive approach and putting my foot down and kick her out. It's a lot simpler to simply say that over the internet than to actually tear apart everything we've built our lives around so fast. There's a lot of other things aside from her that I don't want to risk losing, and I'd rather not go into detail. Best case scenario, after being confronted, nothing actually happened between them, though I may never know, and she never even thinks about playing along with advances like this again. Worst case, unfortunately I'll lose her and probably a lot of more and be miserable, hate women, and be in a really dark place for a long time. I plan to confront her today. Well, I acted like I couldn't find my phone and needed to call someone, and she offered hers right up. Stepped into the garage after dialing the person and made the conversation quick, and lo and behold the texts were still there from Wednesday. She walked right out as I was browsing them, and I immediately asked if she had something she needs to tell me. She glanced at the screen and her demeanor immediately changed as she remarked, "Oh, it's damn Scott," as if I should understand that's just how he is. I became aggressive, not physically, and was questioning her relentlessly. She broke down in tears and said she's asked him to stop numerous times, to which I replied, "It sure as hell doesn't seem that way, show me." She offered to immediately call another male coworker to verify this has been going on and she's asked him to stop. Then she offered to call this scumbag on the spot and ask him to never speak to her again. I told her she needs to show it to the owner because it's harassment and he needs to be immediately fired. I told her I didn't want this scumbag around her ever again. She started to panic at the possibility our marriage is in jeopardy and even swore on her family's life nothing has ever happened and she would call whoever at work she needed to in order to confirm this. It seemed genuine. I've never heard her utter those words in 9 years of knowing her. She was upset I didn't believe her and I asked her, how could I? Currently she went to the bathroom and is in there presumably on her phone. I stepped out of the house because I'm trying really hard to keep my cool before I blow my top off. Heart is pounding, adrenaline going, I need to walk it off. Not sure where this is going from here currently. And now one of her male coworkers texted me this. "Hello, this is your wife's coworker. She asked me to reach out to you to let you know that she reported to me the highly inappropriate text messages sent her. She's quite upset about the entire situation and is worried she might never regain your trust. I know it isn't my place, but for as long as I've known her, she has never demonstrated any behavior that would lead me to believe she was anything but faithful to you and your marriage. Not to make excuses for her, but he's a flirty guy who went way too far in this instance. I'm going to talk with him and he will be reprimanded. I'm sorry you find yourself in this situation and I know what you must be thinking, but I hope you'll give her a chance to talk with you and work this out." And then another message from my wife that I'd rather not share word for word, but basically saying he has done this to her and another female coworker, and they didn't take it seriously and laughed it off when she should have been firm. She then goes on being pretty sincere that she would never do anything to hurt me and once again swears on her family's life nothing has happened, and begging me to believe her, saying she would never do anything to ruin what we have, and goes on talking about how much she loves me and she can't lose me or live without me. It's hard sharing this because of all the emotions at the moment. I need to process everything. It's a small 10-employee company where the previous owner was extremely lax and there basically were no rules. It has since been bought over by another company with new owners who I presume would fire this guy immediately if they saw this. My wife approached me again in tears, genuinely apologizing, and asked if I wanted her to leave and stating she will change jobs as well if I want. Maybe I'm wrong, I believe her. I don't know how I'll ever know for sure. Over the internet it sounds like a sure case of cheating, but in the actual circumstance it seems like she's genuine and said she just handled it completely wrong, taking it jokingly as a response instead of firm in order to not make her work environment awkward. Still a lot of thinking to do. She isn't turning this back on me, which is how my last marriage went, so that's a positive. She takes full responsibility for her actions and seems genuinely sorry for how she handled it. I don't know what the company will do in response, but my guess is he will just be written up. My wife works from home now and hardly ever sees this person anymore, but to me it's unacceptable that his employment continues under these circumstances, especially if he's doing it to another female coworker there, as my wife claims. He can say he was joking all he wants, but we all know what his intentions are. I'm not one to destroy other people's lives, but the company should do the right thing and terminate, and his wife, fiancé, will probably never find out. This is anything but a Fortune 100 company. It's a small laid-back franchise with 10 employees who mostly go out and drink with each other after hours, my wife not included. He would have been immediately fired under any corporate structure, but this is not the case and employees are hard to find at the moment, so I doubt he is terminated. My wife has been with the company for a while and would likely take a pay cut with any switch. I'd rather the company do the right thing and she keep her job. The previous owner knew him, but he was only ever there once a month and probably wouldn't have done anything. The new owners don't know him well enough yet, as the acquisition was literally within the last few weeks and they live out of state as well and are relying on the existing manager, who texted me, to keep things running. The crew and manager all work together daily, so obviously there's some friendships there, which is why I would be surprised if anything happened. If the existing manager has to write him up, I presume it would now have to be reported to the new owners since they run a more structured operation. But again, who knows? My wife used to be this person's superior as well, but took a different role under the new ownership. Which begs the question, why didn't she do anything about it when she did have direct authority over him? Perhaps that's why he's ramped it up lately, because she no longer can do anything. My wife is the type to try to be on cool terms with everyone and not stir any drama, which is the most likely reason she didn't make a big deal out of it. Knowing her as well as I do, I believe her and don't think she'd risk everything we have for this guy. My best guess is she didn't want to be seen as weak while she broke down in tears after I interrogated her. And she just didn't know how to handle the situation and get things back under control and back to normal, so she probably was asking friends for help on what to do. My wife has a control freak personality, not with me but rather in a sense where when something out of the ordinary happens in life that she can't control the outcome, then she panics. This is definitely one of those times. My wife is still crying in the bedroom over this. It pains me to see her this way. I've never seen her get this upset over anything in 9 years of knowing her. And that's with close relatives passing away. I still think I need to give it another day before we have another serious conversation. Her responses via text were not appropriate. While I suppose the responses could have been much worse, she knows she screwed up and is regretting not handling this much sooner and letting it get to this point where she claims she basically just kept brushing it off as a joke. She claims she's told him in person numerous times to stop. I would think the existing manager would immediately terminate this guy, given that if the new owners find out he didn't handle it properly, his job could be in jeopardy. But maybe he isn't thinking that far ahead. I don't want to be the one causing everyone to lose their jobs over this, but at the very least this guy should. To be fair, we argued for a while and she offered to call the guy and her coworker on the spot long before she went into the bathroom to cry. Despite the way she handled those texts being completely inappropriate, every single thing she's done since being confronted suggests nothing has happened between them. Offered to call coworker and harass her on the spot. Did not turn it back around on me like my previous cheating wife. Did not question why I was in her phone. Relentlessly apologizing and offered to switch jobs. Sent me multiple long heartfelt texts saying she can't live without me and I'm her world and she doesn't want to live if it's not with me. Saying she completely handled it wrong and should have reported it. I still believe she's being truthful that nothing happened. But what I don't know is where it would have gone if I just so happened to never have seen this. I've always trusted her and I think it was a bad lapse in judgment on her part and she enjoyed the extra attention from someone else. At the moment I'm unsure of how to move forward. Now that this guy's boss is going to fire or reprimand him, she's on the record as reporting harassment, and like others have pointed out, she may lose job security over this, especially considering this is the last thing the new owners are going to want to deal with. And she works in a male-dominated environment. She said he's made off-handed comments every so often like this for a while, but it really ramped up over the last month with the new owner being gone and with her no longer being over him. With her being unable to do anything about it herself, she passed it off as a joke and tried to brush it off with short, quick comments and has profusely apologized for her mishandling of the situation. Regarding her comment about those two people being back at the shop, she says is taken out of context and it was simply to let him know who was there since he was heading there for supplies. She knows how it looks, I know how it looks. I don't think there's enough here for me to justify breaking this up and starting over. She was even to the point of talking about taking her life. She is either sincerely sorry or a compulsive liar. If it was the latter, I would think I'd have caught her in other lies 9 years into this relationship, and I never have. There's no lack of affection and flirting. I do plan to have some more of these discussions with her. For now, I left it at I need some time. As mentioned earlier, the text about the two people being at the office was according to her out of context. She said she was letting him know who was there since he was heading there to get supplies. It still doesn't seem right in my head, but I've never seen this woman go to the lengths she has to prove otherwise. She had a pretty bad panic attack last night and was having extreme difficulty breathing to the point I thought I may need to call the ambulance. It definitely was not an act. I feel horrible watching her suffer like this, but I can't just flip a switch in my head and say everything's better. I told her it's going to take some time. I firmly believe nothing has happened between them. That doesn't mean I'm not going to investigate further, but I am sure she just had a lapse in judgment and handled it the way she did as a joke to keep things from being awkward. And yeah, maybe she did like the outside attention a bit. Her comment in regard to taking her life can be viewed many different ways. Under the context I know her, it's simply because she knows she potentially blew up her world over something so stupid. I would imagine any woman who was innocent and just handled a situation poorly and found their world in jeopardy would be extremely upset themselves. Not that she's completely innocent, but she didn't cheat and I'm sure of it. This really sucks. My heart dropped through my chest when I read those texts, and it's still there. I've been sick to my stomach since then and feel the pressure on my chest from the stress, and I'm a pretty healthy and active person. I sincerely hope we can look back on this in the not-too-distant future and agree we are stronger because of it, and trying to move forward from here. Her reaction seems plausible for someone who loves their husband and made a mistake handling an aggressive coworker and now risks restarting their entire life over it. It's not that she's not experienced at cheating, it's that she did not cheat. Her responses are not cheating, but they are inappropriate on all accounts. We both have a lot going for us in this marriage, and I sincerely doubt she'd risk that for this low-life piece of crap. Things just got increasingly flirty over time, and boundaries were continuously pushed by this guy. Nothing has happened between them, and thankfully I found this before it got even more out of hand. More investigation will be done, but I'm moving forward under the impression she has not cheated unless I find otherwise. She also informed me she blocked this guy's number and told his boss, her coworker, that she does not want any communication with him at all whatsoever. She also sent another long heartfelt text begging me to believe her and saying she will fight and do whatever it takes to keep this marriage going and not backing down. My comment: I can see that she was trying to field his ridiculous advances and was not trying to encourage him while at the same time possibly enjoying some of the pursuit. It's an interesting human condition similar to hating and fighting an enemy but at the same time admiring them. I can also tell she really didn't want to pursue anything with the guy and highly values her marriage. She just needs to give her boundaries a tune-up. Story 2. I am sorry in advance if this gets long or I start rambling. I have been lurking for a few days and just decided I need a place to vent and get some outside advice on this. My girl and I have been together for a few years and we recently just got engaged. Well, I found out from some mutual friends a few weeks ago that she was pregnant and gotten an abortion without even telling me. I haven't really confronted her and just been stewing on this, in all honesty. Our mutual friends told me that she did it like this because she didn't think I was ready after what I've been going through recently. I lost my 2 best friends recently, and I have been battling some pretty bad depression due to that. And I was at a shallow place, and my girl walked in on me about to pull the trigger of X myself. It wasn't my proudest moment in life, and I feel like she has been punishing me for it ever since. I am in therapy and seeing a psychiatrist and such. So, I am trying to work on it. But now, learning this I feel like just severing this entire relationship. She has been treating me completely differently, and it just isn't helping me. This is all just making me feel worse. She knows I want kids, and I want to be a father. I know that what I almost put her through was not the greatest and pretty bad in itself, and I understand things will take time to get back to how they trusted-wise and, I guess, relationship-wise. But to just make an arbitrary choice like that without even telling me or asking me how I feel just hurts really badly. I just don't know what to do. My head is already really messed up, and I adjust these meds on top of everything else. I just don't know what to do. She wasn't cheating. She isn't that type of person. I mean, at least I don't think she is that kind of person. But nothing about her behavior as of late has ever given me pause to think that she is cheating on me. I just do not think that is why, and what she has done is bad enough without me losing my mind on her for something that probably hasn't happened. If the relationship is irreparable, then it is probably my fault for just being broken and selfish right now. It is probably foolish of me to save something that is probably already lost, but I just can't lose someone else right now. I don't want to be alone right now. I don't think I could handle it. But then again, she forced me to let her move in after all of this happened, so I just don't see the cheating angle on this. I just want to be able to confront her without losing her at the same time. I just want some answers to why she would do this to us. It wasn't planned for her to walk in and find me like that. I never wanted to hurt her or to see me like this. I really love her and would do anything for her. Yes, she was the one that talked me down from the ledge, well, her and the police. She has been to a few of my therapy, counseling sessions. So I think she would go again if I asked her to go with me and have a very frank conversation with my therapist. I don't want her staying with me out of fear and or guilt. That would just make me feel worse about everything. And honestly, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have sought out help instead of trying to do what I did and completely ruining the relationship I have with the women I love. But there aren't any do-overs in life, so I am stuck with the decisions that have brought us here. She already had a key to my place. It isn't like she needed to move in with me or anything. I didn't want her doing that out of pity for me, and that is exactly what happened. And I know her friends have been in her ear about just ending things with me and that she can't fix me and that it isn't her fault if I X myself. I have seen the messages and overheard them when they are over, when they think I am out of the room, and such. It hurts a lot, but there isn't anything I can do. I guess I will try and get her to go with me to my next therapy session, which is on Friday, and maybe try and work through this if that is even remotely possible at this point. So, I tried talking with my girl tonight, and it didn't really go well. I just get the feeling at this point that this relationship is destroyed and that I need just to stop trying with her. Just getting frustrated, I simply asked her to go to my therapy meeting on Friday to have a guided discussion about something rather important. And she just said no, and I asked why, since she is taking me there anyway, what difference it makes if she just walks inside and has a discussion. I naturally kept pushing, and she kept saying no until she just blew up on me and asked why it is so damn important. And well, I obviously lost my crap right back at her and told her I needed my therapist's help in guiding this stupid conversation about why you had an abortion. I guess our mutual friends hadn't told her that they told me what she had done because she was obviously taken aback by the confrontation. I asked her if it was true, and she just started crying. And I asked her why, and she just told me that having a child with me was impossible when my mental health is such a disaster right now, and that she has nightmares about finding me ready to put a bullet into my temple. I asked her if she was still with me out of pity, and she couldn't or wouldn't answer me. I won't lie, I am pretty depressed right now and was in tears for a bit. I just told her to leave and that I am not her child, and I don't want someone staying with me out of pity or fear because that just makes me feel worse. I don't know what I will do, and I wasn't expecting to have this conversation like this and or for it to go as it did. I love her, and I don't want to lose her, but at the same time, I am not going to hold her back from being happy. I might be really messed up and broken, but I am not broken enough to realize that letting someone go instead of trying to hold on to them will do better than harm. I can honestly say I wouldn't wish how I feel on anyone. She is still here at my place tonight, but I just decided to lock myself away from her. She has tried talking to me and even cooked me dinner and slid it under the door, but I can't and do not want to eat when I feel like this. Just really dejected on top of everything. And it is my own fault, and I know that, and that is the worst part of this. I feel worse than before I tried. Be an interesting session Friday, and hopefully, tomorrow won't be as awkward as I feel like it will be, and hopefully, she just leaves. I will feel worse knowing she sticks around because she is worried about me and feels pity towards me. I just needed to vent this all out, I guess, and get some different eyes on this really messed up situation. The ex attempt was before the abortion, so she had it after I attempted that. Today was interesting, to say the least honestly. I have told her to go to counseling. Therapy herself, but she says I am the important one and she needs to take care of me. We had a better, calmer conversation today and just better overall. Was able to talk to her and not blow up at her. She just explained that it isn't pity and that she still loves me and that me losing my temper at her just isn't helpful. Well, obviously. She said she had an abortion because introducing a child into the mix with everything going on with me, that just wasn't the time or place for it. But that when I am better and able to get over all of this and move on, she wants to have a family with me. And I explained that I really wished she would have involved me in this discussion. I told her that it would take time, in all honesty, for me to be all right with her and trust her 100%. And she said the same for her with me, and she laid out some ground rules moving forward. No more closed doors, all the weapons are going out of the house. No matter how embarrassed I am feeling about how I am feeling, I need to be open with her, tell her when things are getting bad mentally for me so she can try and help me. I feel like we honestly finally had our first real conversation since it happened. And I know why I did it. I was just hurting and couldn't see life without my two best friends, but it was dumb. I was dumb. I made a rash decision, not being able to cope with my own pain, and almost caused that same pain, if not worse, for the women that I love. And as you know, all good things must come to an end. Her friends showed up tonight to eat dinner with us, and as you can probably tell, they aren't my biggest fans right now. As soon as I left the table to go shower, they started talking crap about me to my girl and asking her why she is still with me and that they wouldn't stay. Thankfully, my fiancé stood up for me and stopped them in their tracks. I guess our talk did a lot of good. I honestly haven't felt this good about life in a really long time. I haven't had mental health issues at all in my life up until now. This is probably why I melted down in such a spectacular fashion. I am on leave from work for health reasons. Obviously, I work in healthcare, ironically. The wedding planning has stopped. It isn't like we are just going full speed ahead with things while ignoring everything. No, things are on pause. And I am well aware everyone and their mother is advising her to leave me. Hell, I have told her to leave me, but she won't. I don't know what she sees in me to inspire such loyalty. But the last few days, I have felt a lot better. I am just hoping this isn't some euphoric joke and things crash on me again. Honestly, after her and I being able to talk to one another has been the best thing for us, and just my head. We haven't had slept together since this entire thing has happened. And well, thankfully, that cold streak ended tonight for us. I hope that I can keep this going. I was downplaying what I had done because I didn't want it to overshadow what I felt was the bigger issue. This is dumb because it is a major issue, just one that I am feeling really confident about the last few days. Going from walking on eggshells and pretty sure this relationship is just completely screwed to now knowing that I have a really amazing partner in my corner that loves me and isn't abandoning me. At least I hope she does. I don't know why she would start sleeping with me again like she has the past few days. It went from months of nothing while dealing with my stupidity to after our talk to going right back, almost like it was minus a few issues that we think are because of the depression meds. Still, we aren't sure, and I am going to ask my psychiatrist about it. While it is amazing that we are doing or trying to do it again, it's like hitting a brick wall and being really frustrated and angry. Afterward, you guys and gals get my drift. Also hoping that these better feelings are more on the permanent side and I don't screw this up in any way. Just the last few days have felt like I used to before I fell into this hole of hell. Dumb question, but do depression and anxiety meds cause head issues? I haven't ever had these issues, and well, I am now. But then it is a minor miracle. I can even remotely think of it or do it. But I love my girl, and now, after, I keep hitting said brick wall with her feeling pretty screwed and depressed and frustrated because I am letting her down. This is putting a damper on my better moods. Well, so far, sucks feeling like a failure at something you used to be able to make your girl happy with and doing. Our mutual friends are more my girl's friends than real mine. I just call them mutual because there is one or two that actually likes me for me, I guess is the best phrase. My girl goes back to work next Friday. Yes, she has used all of her vacation and PTO time off to be with me. Honestly, kind of scared for her to be going back and leaving me alone. I will not tell her that because one of us needs to be at work right now. I just haven't really been left alone since it all happened. So hopefully, I get cleared to go back to work here soon as well because, if I am honest, I don't trust myself the best right now. My comment, your girl can't hold it all and you need grounded until your head is in the right place. There is no shame in getting help. Take the time to properly heal mentally before anything else. And then, take the time to ascertain whether she's all in. Did she stay because she loves you and wants to marry you and raise a family eventually? Or is she staying because she doesn't want to leave you until you are stable enough to mentally handle it?